Welcome to the Hope Natural Health Podcast. I'm Dr. Erin Ellis, your host. On this show, we discuss all things health, hormones, and happiness with a little side of this thing called life. Brandy Garden is a retired school teacher and the co-founder of Eversio Wellness. Eversio is a family-owned and operated Canadian mushroom wellness company with the mission to change lives through fungi. The fungi kingdom found Brandy after she broke up with a pharmaceutical she'd been prescribed for over a decade. She created Eversio with her husband and has become a passionate advocate for the daily use of medicinal mushrooms as natural preventative medicine. Her motto is, more fungi, less pharma. And Dr. Desiree, naturopathic doctor and ND advisor for Eversio Wellness, she was first introduced to functional mushrooms after a mild traumatic brain injury and believes every challenging moment in life has served as wisdom to enrich our lives. Her passion for health and well-being, evidence-based medicine, and living a life of integrity are driving forces in her mission to help others achieve the health they desire. These two are both better together. However, due to some technical things, we are just recording with Brandy today, but it's still going to be amazing. And she is the guru behind Mushrooms 101, and that's why we are going to interview her here. So welcome to the show, Brandy.
Thank you so much for having me. And yes, I'm sorry Dr. Desiree can't be here on the screen, but I promise she's with us in spirit.
She is here. So before we dive into all things mushrooms, go in a little bit more detail about how you got here today and making mushrooms part of your life.
Yeah, sure. I mean, it's not anything I grew up thinking I would do. And I'm going to tell you for sure, my friends and family thought I was crazy when I told them we're going to start a mushroom company. But I'm a believer that you don't choose to work with mushrooms. They chose to work with me. And I'm so grateful for that. So yes, I was an elementary school teacher for 20 years. And a funny story that we would have told you if Dr. Desiree was here is that I was actually Dr. Desiree's grade 4 teacher.
Oh, how funny.
Yes. So she grew up to be a naturopathic doctor, and we crossed paths through a series of synchronicities that I think we all have. Those things happen for us when we're on the right path, when we're aligned with the work we're meant to do, aligned with our purpose. But I was an elementary school teacher who was headed straight for burnout. I was diagnosed with an autoimmune condition, psoriasis, when I was 15 years old. And as I added more stress to my life in the world of public school teaching, that became psoriatic arthritis. So essentially psoriasis in the joints. I'm sure you're familiar. No different than the over 100 now autoimmune diseases that are out there. My body was simply completely out of balance. And at that time, I just didn't have the vocabulary or awareness to even describe what was happening for me. I just was a perfectionist and a people pleaser. And I loved my work as a teacher, but I was that teacher that would still be sitting at my desk at 11 o'clock. And my husband would have to ask the janitors to kick me out. And for sure, that was leading to the progression of the disease for me. So in my 20s, got married, had my first child, was really struggling, and I was invited into a clinical trial because I had tried all of the NSAIDs, the non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs, and the DMARDs, the disease-modifying anti-rheumatic drugs. I had tried all of the anti-inflammatories essentially on the market, had tons of side effects, a lot of gastrointestinal upset. And the clinical trial offered something that was new and innovative. It was a biologic drug, so it was an immunosuppressive drug. It was an injection that I would only have to take once a month. And I thought this was going to be the answer to everything for me. And essentially it was. In the beginning of the trial, after my first injection, it was about 6 days later, I really started to see the inflammation go from my body. After a month, all of the psoriasis was gone. I was a brand new me, and I was so grateful. And a couple of months in, I got skin cancer. And when you're in a clinical trial, of course, they don't want that on their leaflet. So I was exited from the trial. But my family doctor and the dermatologist and the rheumatologist all agreed I had responded so well, I should stay on the drug outside of trial because nobody really knew, was it the drug that caused this or not? So I did stay on the drug, and I got skin cancer a second time. And by then, I had my life back because I hadn't lived without the arthritis for so long. I was just loving the quality of life I was living with my young child. I was playing baseball with my husband. I was teaching, I was coaching, I was doing all the things. So I stayed on the drug. Again, still not knowing I'm Scandinavian. I have fair skin. Would skin cancer have come into my life anyway? And I'm so embarrassed to even say it, Dr. Erin. I got skin cancer a third time. And that was really me starting to question everything and deciding, should I come off it? How am I going to come off of it? I don't want to go back to the life I had. I don't know what else there is for me out there. And then I had a seizure driving my car with my child in the back seat. And that was it for me. That was the day I broke up with Big Pharma. A neurologist did an MRI on my brain, said, I don't know what you've been doing, but you look like you're in great health. You sound like you're in great health. But your brain looks like you're 80. So, tell me everything. And when I said, well, I've been taking this drug by then for almost 10 years. And he said, that drug was never studied for 10 years. They don't know what these drugs look like for chronic illness. They're meant, to me, pharmaceuticals, most are meant for acute use. And I want them if I broke my leg and I'm in the emergency, but to take something that long and have those side effects really opened my eyes to the healthcare system, which I think is more of a sick care system. And that's when I found mushrooms. It was because of my brain. I started doing research into neurogenesis, so the regrowing of brain cells, and what was out there and was this available, and lion's mane mushrooms came up over and over again, as well as psychedelic mushrooms. But the research on lion's mane mushrooms was so fascinating because to me that was food. And if I could do something to my brain just using something Mother Nature was providing, that was super cool. My husband was using cordyceps mushrooms. He's an Ironman triathlete. He was using them in his training for stamina and energy and endurance. And COVID hit, and everything slowed down for teachers and for his work as well. And he looked at me one day and said, these mushrooms are working so well for us. We should start a mushroom company and bring them to everyone. And we did. And that's how Eversio Wellness was born.
And if you're watching, they're right here in front of me.
There they are. And that's the lion's mane right there.
Yeah, they sent me all of the different products that they have. So we'll go through them. But wow, what an incredible story. It's crazy how we all have our own health journeys. And
yes.
Yeah, wow, you went through it. So,
I did.
Man, but look at you now. I mean, I'm sure, how long ago was this?
Well, I mean, I'm 49 years old today, and
happy birthday.
Sitting here today, just recently in July, I turned 49, and I went into that clinical trial at 30 years old.
Oh, wow.
So it's been an almost 20-year journey of going from through that, being on a pharmaceutical, coming off of it and realizing it wasn't the way. And Eversio Wellness was born 5 years ago. So we have had this conscious business be our new baby for 5 years now. And it just gets better and better as the research gets better and better.
Yeah, there's lots of research about mushrooms. So let's start with Mushroom 101. So many of our listeners might be new to this world. So what exactly are functional mushrooms, and how do they differ from the culinary mushrooms or even psychedelic varieties?
Yeah, and I think I love that way to describe it, because it's often telling people what they're not that helps them understand what they are. So these are not mushrooms that are thought of as what you'll buy in the grocery store, although there is some crossover, and some functional or medicinal mushrooms like shiitake and maitake we can buy in the grocery store and are very delicious, and we eat them all the time. But the ones that we are using in a concentrated extract form would not be considered food. They're not psychedelic. These mushrooms are not going to get you high, and they're not the decomposers of the forest. So mushrooms do many things on our planet, and I think they are probably the most undervalued, under-researched, and therefore underutilized organisms on our planet. The kingdom fungi is the largest kingdom when we look at the kingdoms in science. But even as a teacher, I know I did not do a good job. I taught my kids that mushrooms were the recyclers of the forest, here to decompose things so that we're not living under 10 miles of leaves. But when I found medicinal mushrooms, I'm from Canada, so I really had to look at what Health Canada, our regulatory body here in Canada, says. And they recognize 14 of the, there are millions of fungi here on our planet. There are probably, hundreds, over 700 mushrooms that we could eat and find them acceptable, not causing gastrointestinal upset and so on. But there are 14 mushrooms that Health Canada recognizes as powerful enough in their beneficial compounds to be called medicinal mushrooms or functional mushrooms. Those two words can be used interchangeably. And at Eversio Wellness, we work with 8 of them. So here are the words, if you haven't heard them before. So reishi, lion's mane, maitake, shiitake, tremolo, turkey tail, chaga, and cordyceps. So these words are not their Latin names. So things like reishi would be called Ganoderma lucidum. That would be the Latin name, and in research we'll see it called that. But we work with these 8, and we work with them as medicine, as preventative medicine, as ways that people can address the root cause of symptoms that they're experiencing rather than masking surface symptoms, which is often what a pharmaceutical will attempt to do. And for sure, that is why I'm sitting here in abundance today, in abundance of
Yeah.
health, in abundance of so many other things. But essentially, these mushrooms are full of medicine. They're full of bioactive compounds that have specific mechanisms of action in the body and can just help us to bring the body back into balance, which is, to me, I don't even care what the name of the disease is. I'd rather actually not label any disease. If there's anything going wrong, you are out of balance somehow. And these mushrooms just do a beautiful job of bringing us back in so many interesting ways.
I love that. So let's talk about a couple of them, or 2 or 3 of
Okay.
your favorites, or the most common. Maybe you can talk about the products I have here and why you formulated them. And I know they all have their different benefits, but they also work together too. So let's talk about that.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's like having children or students, and you're not supposed to choose a favorite. And
Yeah, I know, right?
right. But lion's mane was my first love. So I can't not talk about that. So lion's mane
Yeah.
mushrooms they are a culinary delight. You know, if we're lucky enough to have them growing near us, we can harvest them and prepare them as part of a meal. And many people believe they have almost a seafood-like taste when sauteed with garlic or butter. And I do believe people should eat more mushrooms if we can. The trouble is that I think here in North America, we don't have a lot of access to a lion's mane mushroom. I have actually never seen one in the wild. We cultivate ours on a mushroom base that is USDA organic certified, and it is in the deep mountainous regions where these mushrooms grow plentifully in nature. But here where I live in British Columbia, you're very lucky to find a lion's mane. So we just don't see them as food here as much as we would in Asia. But these mushrooms, if you did see them growing on wood, because that's where they grow on trees, it looks like a brain. They are a toothed fungus, so they look like they have almost hair, and they're white in color, and they are the shape of a brain. And I believe that Mother Nature doesn't make a mistake. We call it the doctrine of signatures. What the food in nature looks like is often what it's good for in our body, and they are amazing for the brain. So lion's mane mushrooms are full of beta-D-glucans. They're full of, if we dual extract them, meaning we would dry them in the sun, grind them down fine into a powder, and then cook them in hot water first for a period of time to release the beneficial compounds so that they're bioavailable to us, so that we can use the medicine. And through a second alcohol extraction process, we get something out of lion's mane mushrooms called haricinones. That very few lion's mane products on the market are going to have that because they're not dual extracted. So if you look at that jar, it says it's an 8-to-1 dual extract. And that means it's been water and alcohol extracted. And that's where we get the medicine. Because haricinones from lion's mane mushrooms are one of very few things that can pass the blood-brain barrier and actually give us an effect in the brain. So they're increasing nerve growth factor, NGF, brain-derived neurotrophic factor. They're actually helping us grow new brain cells. And if you're interested in that nerdy stuff like me, you can Google that, and you can actually watch a brain cell that has had lion's mane mushroom extract administered, and you can watch these neurons grow and connect to each other. Well, for me, for somebody that had seen my brain and knew I needed neurogenesis, this was the thing for me. No doubt, this was the mushroom for me. So I love lion's mane for the brain. People love it for mood. So there is some research around anxiety and depression for this. People love it for gut health as well. We know the gut is the second brain. They're not disconnected mind body connection. We see lion's mane as an amazing prebiotic, helping to feed the good bacteria we already have in the gut. And there's no doubt when I started taking a high quality lion's mane product, and I didn't take a dual extract in the beginning because I didn't know. But when we started to formulate and we built what we believe is the best you can have, and we got it up to a dose, so that 8-to-1 means that it is 8 times stronger than if it was just dried and ground on its own. So we have these really high concentration extracts to make them as concentrated as Health Canada will allow them to be. And that's the quantity crude equivalent. And when I started using that, it took about a month for me to really realize how much brain fog I had been living in and get my mind back. And it's a beautiful thing when that happens.
Yeah.
So definitely my favorite. Like I said, you can eat it if you want, but to take it daily in a concentrated dose is something I hope everybody will do to prevent the neurodegenerative diseases that we're all headed for as we live longer in our world today.
Yeah, so that's your focus now, right?
That's the one.
Mainly is the lion's, but you also have lion's mane in the 3 mushroom blend.
Yes. Okay. So the story there. So the lion's mane capsules in the blue jar that you held up there, those are capsules because so many people today are a bit mycophobic, afraid of the taste of mushrooms, afraid of so many things about mushrooms. And we realized that people aren't eating mushrooms because they don't want to taste them or they don't enjoy the texture. They don't know how to cook them. And encapsulating mushrooms is not something you would see in traditional Chinese medicine because these practitioners would believe you should actually experience the bitter astringent flavor as the beginning of introducing it to the body. But we knew that here in North America, if we were actually going to convince people to give mushrooms a chance to actually experience more fungi and less pharma, we have to make it convenient, and hence the capsules. The blend that you have there, so it was called the Awaken blend, now we call it the 3 mushroom blend, is actually what I was doing. So I was working with a naturopathic doctor in the beginning. Of course, I came to lion's mane first, but like I said, my husband was taking cordyceps mushrooms because he's an athlete. And when I introduced, I was taking some of his, he was taking some of mine. When I started to combine cordyceps and lion's mane together, all of my inflammation went away. So now I was affecting my brain and my body was coming back online. And this is the beautiful synergy of things that are made in nature that are better together. So I was taking some lion's mane and I was taking some cordyceps. And when my naturopathic doctor did some testing on me, and of course we were in the middle of COVID, she saw that I had an autoimmune disease and my immune system needed this resetting. My immune system needed this balance. And turkey tail mushrooms are the immunes. They are the best defense we can ask for. This is the immune system mushroom. So when I added turkey tail in, not only is it amazing for gut health, but it's incredible for immune system strength. People will use it as an adjunct to their cancer therapies. Those 3 together started to be what I was taking daily, but it was inconvenient to have to take, 2 of this capsule, 2 of that capsule, 2 of this capsule. And we said, what if we put them in a blend together and said to people, we know you're not going to love the taste, but put it in your smoothie in the morning, which is what I have a green smoothie every morning anyway. People put it in their coffee and their tea and their matcha. People will stir it into chia pudding or oatmeal, soups, sauces. I mean, we've seen people do everything with it. So that one is powder. It's not a capsule. A half a teaspoon is a full therapeutic dose, according to Health Canada, of those 3 mushrooms in synergy together. And I think they are magic when you combine them that way.
Why can't this be in a capsule?
Great question, because of the dose. So so we're looking at 1,000 milligrams in a half a teaspoon with a quantity crude equivalent of over 9,000 milligrams because of the high concentration. If we go to put it in a capsule, you're going to need to take more of it to get the dose of things that we want. So if people wanted to take more of it, they have the opportunity there. And we do get asked to put it in a capsule. But I think when people take the capsules, we're allowing them to kind of create their own blend. So they could take one lion's mane, one reishi, one this or one that. And when we look at the blends, we're thinking of them more as food, and we're kind of creating that synergy for you. So the capsules could be mix and match. The blends are something that our naturopathic doctors that we work with have formulated because they believe that there's a target audience for that blend. And you've got one of two blends that are available today, but very soon, actually, at the end of this month, we'll launch a third blend, the 5-mushroom blend for women in perimenopause, menopause, and that is what we get asked about most.
Oh, awesome. Can't wait for that one.
Yes.
We'll talk about one more popular one because I have this one here. So talk about
Yes.
reishi.
Reishi. I call it herbal yoga. And what you've got in your hands there is such a lovely day. So for me, what you've got there, if I woke up in the morning and put the 3-mushroom blend in my smoothie, mid-afternoon, I'm recording podcasts. I just finished writing a book. I published a book this year, just last month.
Awesome.
When I was writing and I was writing this story, I would take lion's mane in the middle of the day when I used to get that mid-afternoon slump to just bring my brain back on board and get my productivity back, my focus back. And then reishi would be the night. So reishi is this calming mushroom. It's the truest of adaptogens. When you look at the traditional books that traditional Chinese medicine practitioners would use, reishi is the number one. They would call it an herb. It's a mushroom. And it is full of triterpenes, which makes it different than the other mushrooms. And there is a belief in some research that triterpenoids and the triterpenes that are specific to reishi mushroom are actually working on the endocannabinoid system. And this is where we're getting this calming, almost sedative-like effect when we take an adaptogen that powerful. So people will take reishi after their evening meal, after dinner, and then they will have the best sleep of their life. They will have less time falling asleep. So it improves your sleep latency. So you can fall asleep more quickly. And it has research that it will actually extend the amount of sleep that you have. So the duration of your sleep can also be extended. People in our community report having the best dreams that they've ever had, or they've never dreamt before. They don't remember their dreams, and now they're dreaming because they're getting this better quality sleep overall through reishi. But it's not just something that has to be at night. We have many people in our community that love to take reishi in the day because they are people that struggle with anxiety, and the calming effect of it, of really any adaptogen, can help them with things like anxiety in the day, and just bringing that natural calm to us in a world where we're all faced with stress.
Yeah.
And adaptogens help us to build stress resilience. So for me, reishi is something that I love to have in the evening before bed for supporting better sleep. But anybody who needs some calm, some stress resilience in their life, reishi is that truest of adaptogens. She's considered the queen of mushrooms, and it's something that I think everybody could benefit from at some point in their day, every day. It can be taken long term without any side effects. Even Health Canada has approved it for women who are pregnant or breastfeeding. So it's very safe, and it's something that I think gives us this longevity, because we know if we're not sleeping, we're not healing. And when we want to be in that rest and digest state, having something to help us get there is often much appreciated.
Yeah. So that leads me to a question about who maybe is there anyone that would not benefit from mushrooms?
Well, you're asking the wrong lady. I think everybody can benefit from mushrooms. And I think that we are on our way to seeing more of it as we accept them back. And if you went and looked in Eastern cultures, you will see everybody benefiting from mushrooms. And
Yeah.
again, often in their food. This is a luxury, the way that we are able to put them through a sophisticated extraction process and get it to you in a concentrated enough form that it's considered medicine isn't something many can afford in Eastern cultures. They're including them in their diet and eating them often enough and in an amount enough that they're getting benefits. But little children, I have a friend who is from China and at 2 years old had symptoms of asthma and was given cordyceps mushrooms by a grandparent at 2 years old and never had to take a pharmaceutical to manage the asthma. And of course, if you are working with someone who is elderly or you are elderly yourself, in our older years, anything we can give to our brain to help us with prevention of these neurodegenerative diseases, I think there won't be a day that I don't put lion's mane in my body. So I believe that they are good for everyone. They have very, very, very few side effects.
That was my next question. What are we watching out for?
People that are dealing with a lot of dysbiosis in the gut already, adding mushrooms might cause some of that they might have this gastrointestinal upset in the very beginning. And I'm talking a couple of days as the mushrooms bring you into balance, and they're clearing things out and they are working on, the balancing of things in the body. And that can feel strange for people. So people might experience gastrointestinal upset in the beginning if that's something they're prone to. There are some mushrooms. I mean, there are people out there who are allergic to mushrooms.
Yeah.
Right? They can't eat them. And if you're allergic to mushrooms, these are mushrooms and they may have skin reaction or things like that, but it's very, very few. We do not see it in our community. More than once a year we'll have someone say, oh, I had some stomach upset from it. Is that normal? And we'll often say to them, if you can manage another day and see, and it will go away within a day or two, and then they're on board. But the reason we chose in the very beginning, when I said to you, Health Canada has regulated or approved 14 mushrooms that can be considered medicinal mushrooms for use as a supplement or a nutraceutical, and we work with 8. We chose the 8 that have the least amount of cautions, warnings, or adverse events with them. There are some other mushrooms that people use very specifically that can have other things, but we don't work with those because we want them to be safe for everyone.
Yeah. One more question about, I guess, the mechanics of it. So I know with like herbal medicine, it takes a minute, for it to work. How long do you have to be taking mushrooms or these functional or medicinal mushrooms for you to start noticing benefits?
Yeah, great question.
I know everyone's different. I know that.
Yeah, and I'll just talk about myself because I certainly was looking for, I was a girl who was living on quick fixes, right? I was like, give me the anti-inflammatory so I could get back to my life. And I wanted them to work faster than they did. With lion's mane mushroom, it took about a month of me taking it to really notice. Now, if I don't take it, I've gone on holiday, I notice. So for me, just not taking it for a couple of days and then taking it again, I notice right away once it's back on board, my body's waiting for it. So I think in the beginning, when you are resetting your system, it took you a long time to get into dysregulation. It can take a while to get back. But I will say this, the 2 mushrooms that people notice over and over again right away are reishi. Because if you are dysregulated, if you are not sleeping, if you are experiencing stress in a way that is affecting your body, just taking a therapeutic dose, so 2 capsules of that reishi, you're going to feel something different. And it's subtle, but it's beautiful. So that's a mushroom that people will say, the first night I experienced better sleep. The first day I had less anxiety. I had less stress. And cordyceps is the other one. We have seen people take cordyceps and feel like they want to run laps. And again, people are sensitive to different things. I'm very sensitive to caffeine. My husband isn't. When I take cordyceps mushrooms, I feel it instantly the first time I take it, and I experience it as more energy than I would if I wasn't taking it. And I think those 2 mushrooms are a great place to start because of that. If you're wanting to actually address something like low energy. Also, cordyceps is incredible for libido. Amazing research around what it does. If you are we have so many people in our community who have tried and tried and tried to get pregnant, and they start taking cordyceps and they're pregnant within a month. And there's great research around why. We won't go into all of the details, but it is improving sperm quality
Interesting.
and egg quality at the same time. So that's not just for women, that's for people in a couple working toward reproductive health. Cordyceps is your best friend. In Eastern cultures, they call it Himalayan Viagra. So those two, reishi and cordyceps, if you're looking for something you want to actually feel it, you have to take a good quality product. Ours are super
Yeah.
concentrated, very clean. There's no grain in them. There's no fillers in them. They're organic certified, and that matters. And they're extracts. They're not just powders. So they've been through an extraction process, again, to make the medicine bioavailable to you so you can feel it. Things like turkey tail and chaga and tremolo and the other mushrooms, it's very subtle. Often it's affecting the gut over time, and you will start to experience it after about a month. I hope that helps.
Yeah, absolutely. Wowzers. I love this. You guys have a great line. I love all of the packaging and everything. It's glass bottles. There's no plastic. It's very pretty. I mean, I'm all about that.
Sister.
And no toxins. I know Canada is in their league of their own with their rules and regulations. So I know it's a clean product if it came from Canada. So I really appreciate you guys sending me this. And I've taken mushrooms before. I take mushrooms currently. I do turkey tail reishi and lion's mane.
Amazing.
But I have not taken cordyceps. And I'm definitely going to introduce your... And I didn't know about the reishi at night. And I take mine during the day. So I'm going to switch mine tonight and see how that affects my sleep. But
I can't wait to hear.
Yeah, you've taught me so much, and we'll probably have to do another episode with Dr. Desiree as well. But got to wrap it up. I'm going to ask you one last question I ask all my podcast guests. What would be your best or favorite health tip that you could share with the audience?
I mean, stress is something we all experience. We experience physical stress, right? Falls and injuries and illness. We experience chemical stress with what we are putting in our body as food or what we're putting on our body as skincare or all of the chemicals in our environment. We experience emotional stress. And for me, my best health tip to someone is we all know how to balance our physical stress, right? We have to exercise. We have to move our body. We have to be physical that way. We know how to balance our chemical stress. We need to nourish our bodies and eat healthy food and avoid the toxins in our environment. But I think so many people don't know how to balance their emotional stress. And I love mushrooms for that, but I also love meditation for that. And my best health tip is that meditation is not optional if you want optimal health. There is a true mind-body connection. And I think that when we start to recognize that emotional stress and manage it whatever right way is for you, and I think when medical schools start teaching people that it will change people's lives. So don't ignore all three types of stress in your life. Get good at managing all three of them. And if you actually get good at managing two of them, I think the other one will come on board. But meditation changed it for me. And I will tell you, reishi makes my meditations next level compared to before I was taking reishi. Yes. So use it for that too.
Yeah.
And I'm so curious to see if you notice a big difference.
I will let you guys know. Well, I really appreciate your time. We'll make sure that we have the link to your book because that came out since we scheduled this. You guys are going to have new products coming out soon, and then we'll make sure all your social media links are linked in the show notes. But I really appreciate your time today, Brandy.
Amazing. Thank you so much for having me and letting the fungi speak what they need to say.
I love it. Well, thank you again, and we'll see you all again next week. Thank you so much for listening. Make sure to like, share, subscribe, and leave a comment below. And if you haven't done so, please be sure to give us a rating on your favorite podcast platform. Join us weekly as we inspire you to be your best version. For more, follow me on Instagram at dr.aaronellis. Until next week, you got this.